What if you woke up tomorrow and found yourself standing inside a colossal Dyson Sphere? A structure so massive it completely surrounds a star, harnessing its energy, stretching across billions of kilometers. Would it be paradise? A technological heaven where energy is infinite? Or would it be a suffocating death trap where survival becomes nearly impossible? Welcome to Ifology. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe because it really helps us a lot and encourages us to bring you more mind-bending explorations like this one. Now let us step inside this impossible megastructure and see if you could actually survive in the heart of humanity as most ambitious idea. A Dyson Sphere is not a fantasy pulled from science fiction. The idea was first introduced by physicist Freeman Dyson in the 1960s. He suggested that an advanced civilization might one day build a gigantic system around its star to capture nearly all of its energy. To put that into perspective, our sun radiates more energy in a single second than humanity has used in all of its history. Imagine having access to such power. It would turn a civilization into near gods, capable of endless growth and technological wonders. But the question isn't just about energy, it's about you. If you were teleported inside such a structure, could you survive? At first glance, it might seem like heaven. Picture yourself standing on the inner surface of the Dyson Sphere, with the sun glowing in the center. The ground stretches infinitely in every direction, curving upward until it disappears into the horizon. The light never sets. There are no nights, no sunsets, no shadows. Just eternal midday, with the sun hanging perfectly still above you. With energy so abundant, humanity could theoretically power infinite farms, industries, and cities. There would never be another shortage of electricity or resources. On paper, this looks like the ultimate utopia, but physics doesn't care about utopias. And very quickly, the Dyson Sphere transforms from dream to nightmare. The first problem is gravity. If you are inside a hollow shell, you might think the sun's gravity would pull you toward it. But that's not how physics works. According to Newton's shell theorem, the gravitational pull from the shell cancels itself out. That means you wouldn't be pulled toward the walls. You wouldn't be pulled toward the star either. You would be completely weightless. You wouldn't stand on anything at all. Instead, you just float in the void, slowly drifting with no up or down. Without artificial gravity or rotational force, survival would already be impossible. You'd starve, you'd suffocate, or you'd just keep floating forever. The second problem is heat and radiation. The Dyson Sphere captures the star's energy, but where does all of that energy go? If the structure isn't ventilated perfectly, the interior turns into a gigantic oven. Imagine standing in a desert where the sun never sets, where temperatures rise to hundreds of degrees Celsius, and it's not just heat. The sun constantly produces dangerous radiation, solar winds, X-rays, gamma bursts. On Earth, our magnetic field and atmosphere shield us. Inside a Dyson Sphere, you would be naked against the fury of a star. One solar flare could fry everything instantly. Even if advanced shielding technology was in place, keeping billions of square kilometers of inner surface safe forever is nearly impossible. The third problem is stability. A rigid shell Dyson Sphere is fundamentally unstable. If the star drifts even slightly off-center, the gravitational imbalance causes the shell to collapse toward it. Imagine a wall the size of planets suddenly buckling, tearing itself apart, with fragments larger than continents crashing endlessly. You wouldn't have time to react. One wrong orbital fluctuation, and the entire structure becomes a collapsing death trap. So if we are imagining a rigid, solid Dyson Sphere, the answer is clear. You would not survive. You wouldn't even last a minute. But here's where things get interesting. Scientists don't actually think an advanced civilization would build a rigid shell. Instead, they would build what's called a Dyson Swarm. Instead of one impossible structure, this would be trillions of solar collectors, satellites, and habitats orbiting the star in a massive cloud. The swarm captures the energy without the impossible structural problems. And this is where survival becomes much more realistic. Imagine living on one of those orbital habitats. Artificial gravity could be generated by rotation, just like in sci-fi space stations. Life support systems could recycle air and water, just as we already test on the International Space Station. Gigantic mirrors could control how much sunlight each habitat receives. Radiation shielding could be installed around each colony. In short, a Dyson Swarm offers real possibilities for human survival, turning energy scarcity into energy abundance. Humanity could grow food in space farms powered by sunlight, build megacities floating among the stars, and even launch missions to other solar systems using the near-infinite energy available. But even here, survival isn't guaranteed. The Dyson Swarm itself comes with terrifying dangers. For one, collisions. Imagine trillions of satellites and habitats orbiting a star, all moving at extreme speeds. A single miscalculation could create a catastrophic chain reaction of debris, a Kessler syndrome on a galactic scale. Radiation would still be a constant threat. Shielding helps, but one particularly powerful solar flare could disable systems, knock out power, and leave habitats vulnerable. Even the psychology of living in such an environment is uncertain. Imagine growing up where you never see a night sky, never watch the stars, never feel the pull of gravity as we know it. Entire generations might live and die without ever touching natural Earth, creating profound questions about identity and meaning. And there's an even bigger danger. What if the Dyson Sphere itself, or the Swarm, attracted attention? In science, there's a concept called the Kardashev scale, which measures civilizations by their energy use. A Dyson Sphere would make us a Type 2 civilization, harnessing the full power of a star. But imagine what else might be out there. Other civilizations, older and more advanced, might notice our megastructure shining across the galaxy. To them, we might look like ants building a bonfire. And if they're hostile, survival becomes a completely different question. So could you survive inside a Dyson Sphere? If it's the classic rigid shell, the answer is no. Physics would kill you almost instantly, through instability, radiation, or the absence of gravity. But if we think of the Dyson Swarm, the answer becomes maybe. With the right technology, humanity could live, thrive, and grow, powered by the endless energy of our star. But survival would never be easy. It would mean constant struggle against radiation, collisions, and psychological challenges. It would mean living in a place that is at once the greatest paradise and the most dangerous trap. The Dyson Sphere is both dream and nightmare. It represents humanity's ultimate ambition and the universe's ultimate warning. Because even if we harness the full power of our sun, survival is never guaranteed. The cosmos is vast, dangerous, and indifferent. And maybe, just maybe, the Dyson Sphere isn't the end of our story, but only the beginning of something stranger. So what do you think? Could humanity really survive inside such a megastructure? Or would it collapse under its own ambition? Let us know your wildest theories in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe to iFology for more mind-bending explorations.